Hello and welcome back. We're in my back garden. It's a glorious, I was going to say summer's day, but it feels like it. I've got a cup of tea. When I finish this, I'm going to set up a target and we're going to do a spot of archery. Let's see if we can hit anything. Right then, due to an accident, I'm pretty much blind in this eye. That is my aiming eye, or it was. So I'm trying to adjust to this eye, but that means my aiming point and my anchor point have kind of changed. I'm back to square one, and I've had a little go a couple days ago, and I found myself really struggling just to try and get my anchor points before I could even think about trying to get a good aim on the target. I'm a complete novice again, with the confusion of trying to get myself back to the point where I was. I've got a lot of undue pressure on myself because I do enjoy archery, but till I can get the anchor point and my aiming point sorted, at the moment all I'm doing is flinging arrows down range, not randomly, but without any real direction. So I'm still here trying to figure it out, and that's what we're doing here today in this weather. Now let's go down and take a look at that. So there we go. When you consider I'm aiming at the centre mass here. I've got 2 roughly on it, but I've also got 2 shooting really wide. That one's left to right, as far into the right, almost 4 inches this way, but that's a flyer, that's quite high and to the right. And I'll explain why I'm having difficulty. Now my knuckle that you see there, if I was to aim that knuckle there with my aiming eye, I would hit centre mass how I used to shoot. Now I'm having to bring it around, and it's my second knuckle, meaning my bow is tilted more, and I'm trying to do a mind calculation for it all to work. I'm no longer able to shoot my bow in a more upright position, quite simply because I've got to compensate for my left hand eye being 2 to 3 inches further away than what my aiming point was traditionally. Right then, that was my aiming point. When it comes to my anchor point, it was back to here. I can no longer do that because using that anchor point means my bow comes more up into the upright position. I now have to bring the bow sideways, and my anchor point is dropped to my chin. That's the only way I've been able to get a grouping that good. If I was to try and use my other anchor point and aiming point, my arrows literally fly all over the place because there's too much variable between this eye, which I'm using to aim, and this, which would have been the closest eye in line with that knuckle. Yes, I'm getting arrows down where I want them, but I'm still not at that accuracy level that I was, and it's you know, something I'm trying to work on. I've got one centre mass and the rest of them are flown probably with a 16-inch widespread by about 5 inches above. That isn't a very good grouping for the distance I'm shooting at. I'll keep going. So on that occasion, I've only got one on target. That one hit above it, but almost in line. You know, you can adjust for that. But I've had one hit the top corner and land in the lawn over there, and the other one took out a piece here and went down onto the lawn. That's why I'm not shooting the whole length of my garden at the minute. Quite simply, till I'm confident, you know, that I'm going to hit all the time. It's just a bit silly and it's disheartening. At the moment, what I'm trying to do is get my group in, try to get a bit of consistency back. So here you go, that came through the target, through the chair here, and that one just caught the top and come down and stopped there. More often than not, I will set the target here, and I always have a look out over. I make sure my neighbour's not out in his field, but I am lucky that I do have a field, although, you know, it is not good practice to rely on that. All I'm saying is that I do have the ability to set up a range here. Like I said, that's my backstop, and I shoot from all the way up there. I'm doing half the distance at the minute, and I think that's possibly the most sensible thing till I get all my arrows within a 4-inch grouping there, because by the time they get down there, that 4 inches is going to be possibly 8-inch group. So not am I just dealing with the anchor point and my aiming point, my distances to hit the target have changed. That is, I'm working with 3, which is near, far and long range, and I'll show you in a minute what I'm talking about. But that's a different aiming point for distances. You won't aim at the same place for far distances or short range distances. It all changes, and I'll just quickly show you that. That has changed as well for me, because my aiming and anchor point have changed. So have those distances to get it onto target. I'll show you. So this is considered short range, what I'm shooting at here now, or a near target. To get that there, my knuckle is basically aiming about here below the target, and that's quite simply because of the physics. Once the arrow is fired, it's still accelerating, and it goes in like a curve, a bell curve. So when you're near, you always have to aim below to take into consideration the slight upward trajectory of an accelerating projectile. So like I said, at this distance, I'm aiming somewhere there to get it there. If I was to drop that target back down there, my knuckle would probably be there, and the arrow would land exactly where my knuckle is, because it's reached the flattest plane that this arrow would travel. And if I put this out in the field and I wanted to hit this target there, my aiming point would probably be somewhere there to allow for the upward curve and for it to drop down in on the actual aiming point. I hope that kind of gives you an indication, like I said, what I'm trying to deal with. And I had all this figured out, and due to an eye injury, I'm back to square one. So there you go. I've got 3 on and 1 was slightly high. But you can see, if I was to draw a circle around there, that would be the grouping. Really, I want my whole circle to be no more than about that. I would be happy with that, with the eye injury I've got. But anyway, let's keep practicing. Right, this one went down here, hit the lawn, and slid here. Right. That one just skimmed the top of that one there, and it went through there. Well, we're back in the dungeon, in the workshop, and it's always gloomy in here. Like I always say, yet a glorious day outside. I've packed up, de-strung my bow, picked up the target, put the arrows away, opened the door, let the dogs out. I didn't want them wandering around because inevitably they are going to wander across while I'm taking a shot. You know, safety first. And if you're thinking about, you know, you could hear kids, that's my neighbour's kids, you know, several gardens over. And because our garden's orientation is kind of like a banana shape, they're technically behind me anyway. So, you know, there's no danger. And like I said, I always got my arrows going downhill so they go into the lawn. No ricochets. Right, so I've covered that. But I've got a stave in here I'm going to work. I may have talked about it in the past, so I'll let you have a look. It's been here for over 2 years. I haven't worked it and made a bow, quite simply because I've been using that one and enjoying it so much. And the pressures of basically what I've had in the workshop. It's been hiking stick, hiking stick, and hiking stick. Like I said, I'm slowing a little bit more down with that. I have 5 cut, and they're stored in here. I need to find somewhere better than on the floor to store them. But they're for next year's bow making. I've got 1 ash stave. I can't afford to mess it up if I want seasoned wood. I can go and get a green piece of wood, you know, when and as ever. But, you know, seasoned wood, which will make a good bow, I've got 1 piece of. So I am very apprehensive about working it. I'll let you have a look, and you can see what, or try to think about what I'm going to make from it. Right, you can see I've already pulled it out and I've got it ready, because within the next few weeks that's going to be turned into another bow. There's the ones that are cut this year. You can see, oh, I've got so much junk, like I say, in this workshop. The ends have been sealed. I've sprayed them with blue paint. That's to help stop cracking. But this is a piece of ash, and I can remember the evening I went to get it. It's got a slight curve in it, but I think I can cut the worst of the curve out. I may heat straighten it, but I'll see if I can get the date. All right, let's see if we can read it. That says ash, 19th of the 4th, 22. If you can read that. It's not focusing, but it says ash 19/4/22. That is well seasoned. So this is going to be converted to another bow. So when I do actually make that bow, I will bring you guys along from the conception, you know, from the first blade that touches that wood to completion. And if it fails, and I've had plenty of bows fail on me when I've been making them, if it fails, you will get to see the disappointment on my face and the heartache, you know, for real and in person, not just me telling you. But that's for another day. I hope you've enjoyed just coming out into a, you know, lovely sunny garden and firing a few arrows downrange with me, just because we can, just because of the sheer fun and, you know, the enjoyment you can get out of it. So I'm going to be taking those dogs for a walk, so I'm going to let you guys go. So take care, stay safe, and hope to catch you guys on the trail.